The year is 2012 and a young man named Omari was taking care of an orphanage in Kenya. When he is asleep at night, he hears a banging on the door and he knows that this may mean trouble. Burglars have arrived with weapons and they wish to steal the little that the orphanage had. Omari is now faced with a fight or flight response and he chooses to confront the intruders. This is the story of how a young Kenyan man survived being attacked with a machete to his face while protecting an orphanage. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of the Untold Tales of Africa.
Omari Anthony Nyaga was 24 and studying as a civil engineer. He lived with his mother in Faraja Orphanage, which was close to the Kenya capital city of Nairobi. They refuged children and teenagers that were abandoned on the streets. They used donations and volunteers to help run the operation. During this year, they had 35 orphans that were being taken care of under a limited budget that they had. Burglars would attack this orphanage twice a week and steal whatever they could. These events caused Omari to sleep with a hammer. This decision would end up being a smart one as he would need to use it just a few days later. One night, Omari hears a noise on the door and suspects that the intruder is about to break in yet again. He grabs his hammer, runs to the door and hits the intruder in the face with it. The burglar, while injured, escapes into the darkness and Omari feels relieved thinking that they wouldn't return again after that confrontation, but little did he know that they would be back again the next day. The next night, Omari is woken up to the noise of the door once again. This time, there were 3 men holding machetes looking for Omari in order to avenge their friend. The orphans wake up and Omari tries his best to take control of the situation as the children are screaming in fear. He turns his back to the burglars and tells the children to stay back. When he turns around, one of the burglars strikes his face with a machete. Despite this, he keeps swinging with his hammer and strikes the attacker and drops him. The other 2 burglars run away and Omari shuts the front door. At this point, Omari's face is bleeding and not long after, he passes out. The next thing he remembers is waking up in the hospital with an 11-stitch scar from his forehead to the top of his lip. Omari is shocked that he survived the incident, but he couldn't have guessed what would come next. A man that was living in Kenya at the time was a volunteer at the orphanage and he heard about the incident. This man decided to go on Reddit and share Omari's story. He asked for donations in order to raise $2,000 for the remainder of a cement wall with barbed wire. This would be used to protect the orphanage from burglars. This man that made the Reddit post went by the username The Lake, and his post blew up with more than 3,000 comments. The Lake was a Penn State University student and his name is Ben Hardwick. Soon after the original post, they were able to raise more than $80,000. Despite his injuries, Omari put his civil engineering skills to the test and he spent the donations to work and finish the wall. They were also able to hire a watchman, chef, cows, bunk beds, water tanks, a playground, and even started to take the orphans on trips. Ben Hardwick would post updates on the progress of the orphanage and everyone was proud of how far they had come. As Omari grew up, he ended up having a family and a life of his own. As you might expect, he's still haunted by the incident at the orphanage, and with the scar still present on his face, it's easy to understand why. He still wakes up in the middle of the night to see if his kids are okay and he feels like he's overprotective. Anyway, that wraps up the story of Omari. His bravery, kindness, and generosity should never be forgotten. So, what are your thoughts on this story? Please let me know in the comment section below. Also, please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe so you can get more content related to Africa. My name is Asher and I'll see you in the next video.